from Greenville, South Carolina, still in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Obviously, I am now in a hotel room, so big thanks and shout out to Daryl. And that is the same Daryl that has sponsored the crap out of some of our recent streams and stuff. And so I'll go ahead and plug the Flat Earth Farms. Dank so fire, you'll realize the Earth's flat. Buy some for your globe-tard friends at select California distributors. So definitely support your local dank growers. And I'm trying to get Daryl, and I'm sure he's probably tried or thought about it way more than me, but like, I think it would be awesome if I could give y'all a link that would take you to his website where you could just buy your dank from Daryl online, and then he ships it to you. And it's all totally legal and legit, and it's all really, really good buzz. I'll tell you that from firsthand experience. Usually stuff that's grown outdoors isn't the best, usually, right? But because of where he's at up there in Northern Cali, like I guess they're on the side of like a mountain, and the weather is pretty much perfect for growing dank. And, you know, people spend a fortune in like underground grow operations, like literally under the ground, in order to get, you know, the pH balance of the soil just right and the temperature just right and, you know, the day-night cycles just right. Growers spend a fortune getting that done, you know, in a controlled environment. But apparently, like where dude's at up there in Northern Cali, I guess they're even further north than Redding, but it's up around that area. And up on the mountain that he's at, from what I gather, it's just naturally the perfect place to grow dank on the side of that mountain. And so what he sent me was a couple different kinds, and they're all really good. But it's really, for me, it's hard to believe that they were actually grown, you know, outdoors, you know, because usually outdoor grown buds is not the best. But anyway, so I don't want to go on and on and on forever about Flat Earth Farms, but definitely check them out, and I will keep y'all posted if there is ever a way set up for like an e-commerce type thing. I know I would use it, you know what I mean? Because what's more convenient than just you know, Amazon priming some dank or whatever, right? All right, so anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. Obviously, we did get into a hotel here. I almost got thrown out of this one too. So we stayed here last night, and I paid for the dog, which there was a $20 deposit for the room, and then I was told a $30 deposit for the dog. But then when I went to go re-up the room again today, they wanted another $30. And I told them, I said, no, I've already paid the deposit, and I actually had my receipt in my hand. Well, no, I had to come get the receipt, but I had it in my room, brought it back down, and come to find out that it is an everyday thing. Even though it's a service dog, even though they know that she's a service dog, they don't care. They're going to charge that every day, even though that's illegal. And so I told him that, and I didn't tell him off. I wasn't rude, but I did put him on camera. And he basically was ready. He just told me to just go on and fuck off and check out. And so I had to basically like get on my knees and beg them to apologize, you know, for what? For I didn't do anything, but I had to like humble myself and, you know, apologize just so that he wouldn't run us off out of here because of the monster dog. Lily, let's see. Where is Lily? Oh, yeah, she is. She's just an absolute monster, you know. Oh, and then, of course, if I walk too far away from the window, the internet disconnects, of course, right? So, isn't that just always the case? So anyway, big thanks and shout out to Daryl up there in Cali for getting this room for me again for tonight, man. That was very kind and generous. And honestly, I'd be dead in a ditch somewhere if it wasn't for the help of a handful of very generous people that have been just unbelievably kind. And from the bottom of my heart and from that of my wife and little Lily, the dog, thank you. We really appreciate it. Um, this is a crazy situation, sort of unprecedented in many ways. I think on one hand, this is a huge disaster, and it has definitely changed my immediate plans. I was supposed to have moved out of my place on Tuesday, and I haven't even been there in a week. But on the other hand, I think that also we're very lucky. It could have been a lot worse, right? Because again, that Hurricane Helene just came in the middle of the night, right? And it was so funny. So let me tell you, if I have already, but let me step outside so I can smoke, and I'll probably have a better internet. Oh, but it's just so loud out here, though, isn't it? Wow. Okay, so like, whatever night it was, I think it was probably like Tuesday night. Wow, I wonder if the internet's gonna hold up out here. Probably not, huh? Yeah, let me just stand. I probably should just go back in the room. It is like a damn high. It's literally the highway is right there. So much for that idea. Okay, let me just go back in here. It's just too noisy out there, the highway.
Shut the door.
Okay, so like night one, I think it was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I think. I got up in the middle of the night because the wind was super loud, and it was a noisy storm, right? But it was, I don't know, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, something like that. But the power was still on. And I was like, wow, holy crap, the power's still on. That's kind of unbelievable because it was getting pretty violent out there. It was violent enough to wake me up, right? So I opened the door and looked outside, and it was you couldn't even hardly see anything. It was pitch black out there, which it's a dark area anyway where I live, because my next door neighbors are cows and chickens, right? So it's not like there's a bunch of street lights or anything, you know what I mean? So anyway, but the power was on, and I was like, oh, wow, that is just terrific. And I thought for sure that the internet was going to be down because, again, I finally just got internet set up at that address. Like, it's been not even a month yet. And it has gone down for like 24 hours at least. This is Spectrum we're talking about. It's gone down like at least once a week since I've had the service. And when it goes down, it's not just like 20 minutes or an hour. It's like 24 hours plus. And then it'll just magically turn itself back on at 1 a.m. Anyways, the internet was on too. So I'm like, hot dog, power and internet. I was going to play me some Battlefield, right? So I turned the Xbox on, got it loaded up. And as soon as I sat down to start loading up, whatever map was going to load, the power went out. So, of course, the internet goes out with it, too, right? Well, fuck. I just really wished I would have kept sleeping at this point, right? So we sit there and wait. Sometimes it'll go off. And it did. It came right back on. It wasn't even out 10 minutes. And it came right back on for like another 5 minutes. And then it went down. And then it came back on for like 10 seconds. And then it went down again, and it's still been out. That was like Wednesday of last week. And so, because Mina's on oxygen, luckily I had 8 of the E-tanks full, right? And so that's enough to last her 24 hours if she uses it sparingly. So I thought we were pretty well good, but, we burned through those in about 15 hours. Roger lol Cal, whatever, man. Yeah, like, keep it to yourself, dude. Can somebody I don't know, does anybody out there have a wrench? Sneak the dog in, Gage? Yeah, no, I can't though, man, because if I do that, then they can throw us out of here and keep my money, which is what the last one wanted to do, which is why I had to call the police on the last hotel. Yeah, if anybody has a wrench, just block that guy or whatever. Like, who wants to hear that shit? I don't like, if you don't have something nice to say, dude, keep it to yourself. Yeah, and then so now everybody's gonna start blowing up my phone too. So let me put my phone on do not disturb. Hold on. Sorry, if you're trying to call right now, I'm literally streaming from that phone that you're calling. So please text me first so I can save your number in my phone. But let me put my phone on do not disturb. I'm sorry, hold on. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, but really, again, if you don't have anything nice to say, if you don't have something nice to say, just don't. There we go. There we go. Okay, so anyways, so where were we at? So those oxygen tanks that we had lasted, it wasn't even like 18 hours, and she was down to her last one. And it was dark, so this would have been like Wednesday night, I think. So I had to call the ambulance, and luckily, see, while this was happening, her phone, which is an unlimited, plan that I've already paid for. The first 3 months was already paid for, and that was through Mint Mobile, right? But so that phone of hers, like, this was right before the hurricane came, it wouldn't charge, right? And so for whatever reason, it was dying, wouldn't charge. So I had cut her phone off, and it had like 4% to where I could call 911 for the ambulance. And before I was done with the call, her phone died, right? And luckily they did come out. They took her to St. Francis, and I did the stream from there. And so that was that part of it, right? And at that point, my car was still running, The hospital, after the first night, or maybe it was the second night, told her she had to leave. They had discharged her because there was like 50-something people waiting on rooms. And even though, not being able to breathe is an emergency, triage, there was more prescient matters or whatever. And so they ran her off. Okay. So from the hospital, while I still had internet there, because they were online, they had power, internet, everything, I went ahead and made reservations for hotel. And I got the dog, I got my guitar, I got her medical stuff packed in the car, and did things in my car that I shouldn't have done, like drove it through deep water and over trees and whatever. It was I was not kind to the car, but I had to do what I had to do to get the dog out of the house and to the hotel room. So this is like 150 miles driving, right? And I get to the hotel with the dog and all my stuff that I had reserved and paid for, and they don't have any power, they don't have any internet, they don't have any rooms, and I can't check in. So great. And the clutch is going out in my car this whole time. So I go around the corner to the Greenville Inn and Suites. Mind you, my wife is still at the hospital getting run off. I've got the dog and all my stuff in the car. I get to Greenville Inn and Suites. They have power, but they don't have internet. And so they can't check me in. And I'm like, but you have rooms? Oh, yeah, we've got power. We've got rooms, but we don't have internet. We can't check you in. I'm like, well, how many rooms do you have? I don't know. We can't check online, so we don't know how many rooms we have. Now, mind you, this is like a 300-pound woman. And And I'm like, oh, and I had a brilliant idea. I was like, okay, wait a minute. What if I pay you cash for the room and then you don't have to do nothing online? Well, we'll just do it with cash. She laughed in my face like I was stupid. They're not going to do it. Not going to do it, right? Okay, so I'm just about to give up and I'm going to drive to the hospital because I've got to go pick up Mina, right? Like my mission was to get the dog dropped off at a hotel, and I've still got the dog and all the stuff in the car and still no hotel. But okay, hell with it. We're going to go back to the hospital and get her. But then there's another hotel, Super Lodge, and it looks like they've got power. So I pulled into Super Lodge. They've got power. They don't have internet, but they can take cash, and they didn't laugh in my face, and they did have room. So I gave them $200, which they charged me $60 a day for the room and a $20 deposit, which I never did get the deposit back, by the way. So I gave them $200 in cash. And as I'm doing this, because, you know, the reservation that I had made for the budget and the dog was fine. I've stayed there before, right? But so anyway, I told him, oh, by the way, we have a service dog, a small dog. Here she is. She's just a sweet little thing. You know, she doesn't bother anything. Well, do you have her service dog registration number? I don't. It's on her collar, and her collar's all the way in Honea Path. And really, I don't even think I'm going to make it there if I tried. But I'll just pay for the dog. What do we got to do so I can just drop my dog off at the room? They wouldn't do it. They said the dog can't stay. If you bring the dog in, we're going to throw you out of here and keep your money. Then I had paid for 3 days, and that was all the cash I had, $200. So I said, let's not worry about the dog right now. Let me go pick up my wife from the hospital and get her back here, and then we'll worry about the dog, okay? The woman that was working behind the counter at Super Lodge was such a bitch about this whole thing. Who she looks like, if you've ever seen the Game of Thrones, which I really like the Game of Thrones, whatever. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, or even if you've not seen it, what this woman looked like, she was really actually kind of pretty, like sexy, right? But she was evil. Like, she was really enjoying the fact that I was in a really bad predicament. And it was like, she was really enjoying this whole thing. But who she looks like is so you remember Ramsay Snow from the Game of Thrones, who was like the crazy guy who was the other bastard from the Battle of the Bastards guy. He liked to flay people, right? And he was like a total psychopath. But he had a bottom bitch, right? Like his main girlfriend or whatever was just an evil psychopathic bitch too, right? Like they were two peas in a pod, Ramsay Snow and this chick, right? So anyway, the girl working behind the counter at Super Lodge looked just like that girl, dude. Looked just like her. And like, it's it's a certain kind of evil when you see a hot girl fall from 10 stories and then like die like with a whimper after they hit the ground. And it, like that scene in the Game of Thrones, no spoilers, is just so satisfying when that bitch eats shit, right? Excuse my language, I'm sorry. But it's just there's just something so satisfying when Sansa kicks her ass off of the balcony and she dies, right? It's right before her and dude jump into the snow, right? But that's what this woman looked like. And she, like, it must have been her. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to learn if like that was her, like the actress or whatever, or like that character, the archetype was definitely her for sure. Looked just like the bitch. So, but anyway, and like, I was not being rude. I was really being like extra biting my tongue, being extra humble, like begging these people, like trying to figure out a way that we could just, allow the dog to stay. And they weren't going to do it, not without that 10-digit registration number, which I don't have. I didn't have any way to get it because there was no internet anywhere at this point. I mean, the hospital had it, but like I had a bunch of other things I needed to do online. And like, that was the least of my worries, was that dog's registration number. So anyway, I had to drive all the way back to St. Francis Hospital with the dog and all the stuff in the car. And it was hot. And, you know, that car, it does have air conditioning, but like really, the only time you want to run it is when you're on the highway going, because it wants to stall the car out when you run the air, if it's just sitting. And the thing is the starter is out on that car. So if it stalls out, it's a big deal, right? If it stalls out and I'm not on a hill or somewhere that I can just roll to pop the clutch and push start it, like it's a big deal, right? So I couldn't run the air for the dog much. It was just really stressful. Then I had to go check her out of the hotel with the dog in the car the whole time. I did roll the windows down for her. So long story short, we get everything back to the hotel where I had already paid 3 nights, and these people are being dicks about the dog. And I'm like begging them, and they at this point, they wanted to run me off, and they said they were going to keep my money. But I had to get rid of the dog or check out, or they were going to keep my money, right? It was getting ridiculous, and that was all the money I had. So I called the police, man. I called the police on them. And by the way, thanks to the guy that texted me because I would have called the city. I had to call the county police, the sheriff's office or whatever. But they ultimately came out, and they told the guy that you can't throw someone out for a service dog, and they're legally, according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, it's illegal for them to ask anything other than, 1, is it a service dog? And 2, what is the dog's function? That's it. They're not supposed to be like Nazi Germany about this, right? And as a matter of fact, it's illegal for them to charge money extra for a service dog. But so anyways, after the police left, I was kind of thinking they were going to make up something to kick me out, because they could easily do that. They could make up something and call the police on me and have me run off, right? So I didn't sleep easy the first night, really, or the second night. But so then we stayed the third night, and in the morning, you know, we still don't have power at the house. So this would have been like the day before yesterday. And I tried to renew the room. You know, I tried to pay for the room again, and I had cash. And they had put a note on the account that they weren't going to rent the room to me again because of the dog. And really it was because I called the police on them. But I didn't have a choice. Like, if I didn't call the police on them, we would have been out on day 1, and probably they would have kept my money, right? So, I did the best that I could with what we had. So we had to unload the room, and by the way, in between all of this, my car broke down. The clutch went all the way out. Luckily, I didn't wreck it, but it is still parked at Chick-fil-A on Woodruff Road, and I've still got to go. I got to call them today and make sure that they don't tow it. Or if they do tow it, I'll tell them where to tow it and send me the bill, I guess. But I do got to call Chick-fil-A, mental note to self. Okay, so, and also during this time, there's no internet. It's very hard to get internet. So here's a side story. Okay, so let's park this for a minute. There's a side story about Mina's phone, right? So I already told you that when I set up my internet service with Spectrum for home internet, they're running a promotion where you get 12 months free cell phone service, right? And that's unlimited. So I jumped all over that, but her phone that she had wasn't compatible. Neither was her other phone that was older, and neither is my phone that I'm talking to this stream on right now, right? So none of our phones would work. So I had to wait until the first, when we get paid, to get her a phone. And it couldn't just be any phone. It has to be a certain kind of phone that Spectrum is going to jive with, right, for the unlimited 12-month deal. And I'm on a time limit. If I didn't get this phone set up within 30 days of the service being set up, so that's on the 6th of this month, then I lose the promotion. So I had to do it. So I go to Walmart, and long story short, the only phone that they had that would work with Charter, and it took me about an hour to figure out which one, was a $200 phone. It's an iPhone, which I've never seen an iPhone, never looked at an iPhone, let alone use one. And so that adds a whole nother layer of complexity, trying to learn a new operating system and set up a phone and all this, right? So anyway, I bought the phone and I got Charter on the phone spectrum, and they told me it was compatible and everything was going to work. And then as I'm on my way out of Walmart, that's when my car died at Chick-fil-A, and I did get it kind of parked, and I told the management that it was there. Okay, so I get the phone back to the hotel, which is this hotel that we're at now. Or was it the last one? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But Spectrum cannot set the phone up for the service because Simple, the new provider that I bought this iPhone through Walmart at, will not unlock the phone until I've either had the phone service with them for 2 months or I pay a $350 fee. So I can't do either one of those. So I've got a $210 phone, which, by the way, I also had to spend another $55 just to put the service on it because the phone doesn't come with service on it. You have to pay extra for that. And that $55 they're trying to say is non-refundable, that's crazy. But so anyway, I tried to return the phone because it wasn't going to work and my car was broken down anyway. But Walmart's not doing returns. This was like the day before yesterday or a couple days ago or whenever. I'm not exactly sure at this point. So it's just like, it's like one thing after another. Okay, so back to where we paused the story. We got run off out of the hotel. We had to sit out in the blazing sun. They did let me plug in her condenser at the lobby of that super lodge where they kicked us out for having a service dog and calling the police on them because they tried to kick us out for having a service dog. This is illegal as hell what they did. So anyway, while I was sitting there waiting on our neighbors to pick us up, which they ultimately did come and pick us up, I booked a reservation for another hotel, a different hotel. I didn't pay for it this time, right? Because I couldn't get them on the phone. And I had already learned that if you pay these motherfuckers for the hotel up front and then you get there and there's no room, you don't get your money right back. It takes like a couple weeks, right? 3 to 5 business days, that's a couple weeks for real. Okay, so because I didn't pay for the reservation on the spot, by the time I got to the hotel, which was Motel 6, they had booked my room out. They had rented the room out. They didn't have any rooms. They didn't have any internet either. So even though I wasn't out money, we didn't have a room. And I'm sitting here, I'm Ubering this, right? So it's not like I'm free riding because you have to pay for everywhere you go. I don't have a car. So this whole time while we're riding, trying to find hotels, paying for it, I'm on the phone with FEMA trying to figure out, because I have heard on the radio that there's emergency shelters where we can go and plug in at, right? And finally they called me back right after I got the key to this room yesterday. And so whatever. So I think I can still, if worse comes to worse, like if the power's off much longer than by Friday, I think we can get her set up there. But I don't know about the dog, and I've got my guitar and like all this equipment. Like, what a mess. So that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so let me tell you why I almost got run off out of here today, just now. Okay, so we were at the clinic for oxygen, getting those tanks filled, and they can only do so many because they just got power back today, and so they're probably filling tanks right now as we speak. Anyways, while we're sitting there at the clinic, I call this hotel because it's like 10 o'clock and checkout time is 11. And I tell them, we're on our way back. Just don't rent the room. Can I make a payment on the phone? No, they don't do that. They don't do payments over the phone. This isn't 2024. This is 1872, remember. So there's no such thing as payments over the phone. So we get back here. I go to make the payment. And instead of the $85, which is the room including tax, he says $130. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Or maybe it was 113. I think he said 130. what did he charge me? He charged me 110 plus 30. So it was 140 total. And I'm like, 138, yeah. So I tell him, well, wait a minute, I've already paid the fee for the dog because I was told it was a deposit, $20 deposit for the room and then a $30 deposit for the dog, even though it is a service dog. You're not supposed to do that, but fine. No, that's $30 every day. And I'm like, okay. Now wait. He said, yeah. He's like, no pets, no pets. He's pointing at the sign. I said, no, but it's not a pet. It's a service dog. Yeah, I know, but you got to pay $30 every day. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll pay it every day. But that's when I pulled out my camera, and I did get him on camera. And I'm like, so you're going to charge me $30 every day, even though it's a service dog. That's all I said. That's when he said, fuck it, you can check out now, blah, blah, blah. So I had to literally get on my knees, apologize, and beg this motherfucker not to throw us out, and beg him to take my last $30, which, by the way, thanks again to Daryl for that. So it was 110 plus 30, $140. That's for one night because of Lily Dog, man. That is so crazy. Like, honestly, so I actually did call Fox News Station, and they gave me an email address to email the story, which maybe I can just give them a link to this video. But I'll definitely email them because, first of all, what they're doing is illegal. I'm pretty sure I could sue the shit out of them for this, I think. Now, I'm not really much of a litigant. Like, I'm not really into suing people, but, at the same time, there's laws against what they're doing, man. And it's like, obviously, I mean, we've got all her equipment. There's her equipment, like equipment. It's everywhere. Like, this is, clearly, and basically what I told him is that Lily Dog is like another piece of this equipment. You know what I mean? Lily. There she is. Hey, baby, you want to go? I mean, can you believe that they're going to make such a big deal out of Lily Dog, man? What the crap, dude? Anyway.
I don't want to be on camera now.
You're not on camera. Don't we all, man? Oh my goodness. I'm the best gay YouTuber. I'm not gay, dude. He probably wants to eat my dog. Yeah, no. No, dude, I'm not gay. I mean, wishful thinking. I know. I'm so sexy that you have to say something about it. But no, I'm just strictly about that giner, bro. Sorry. I mean, I don't have anything against gays. The gays are all right by me, man. They don't, as long as they don't bother me, man. Like, it doesn't bother me what you do behind closed doors with other dudes or whatever, but don't involve me in it, man. No, someone's just being a smart ass.
Oh, look at that. They've been married for 2 years.
Make it make sense. I know, right? I know. What the fuck, dude? Hey, but what do I do? Like, so... What did you say? Dinner? What about dinner? Something to eat, yeah. Dude, I've had one sandwich in the last 3 days. Oh man, I threw up this morning so bad. I ate a bunch of pork rinds yesterday, and they were sea salt and vinegar pork rinds. I woke up in the middle of the night and just threw up anyway, it was bad. But there is something over here. I think I can go get something to eat, but it's, dude, you get used to having a car that you can drive and used to restaurants being available and open, and then get thrown into 1872 situation. Yeah. But again, I think things should start going back to normal in certain places pretty soon, but then there's other places like off in the cut places that are just devastated, dude. From what I gather, Georgia around Atlanta got hit a lot harder than we did here. And then I think also Western North Carolina got a lot of really, really bad damage too. A lot of people died. But for whatever reason, like, so that the high pressure system parked right over us here. For like 10, 12 hours, it would just sit here over Greenville. And I've never seen a hurricane do that. And honestly, I've never seen a hurricane that was still so powerful by the time it got into the foothills that it was ripping up oak trees like it was nothing. Jordette says you got the fuck out of the city 2 years ago because people suck. I mean, yeah, they do. There's a lot of decent people out there, but they're definitely not running hotels, you know? I mean, maybe there are, but from what I've seen, and you know, I've been dealing with hotels intimately way more than most normal people do for the last 5 years. So we've been stuck living out of hotels. It's a trap. And honestly, most of the people that run hotels are fucking assholes, dude. Like, I'm sure there's some good ones, but few and far between, though. Like, what an easy job, too. Like, yeah, it cost a lot of money to buy the building, I guess. But I know that they don't pay their employees that well to do laundry and stuff. And I guess they probably have high overhead in terms of like electric bill and insurance and things like that. But at the same time, it's not like they're digging fucking trenches for minimum wage or something. You know, you would think that they would be a little bit more appreciative to where they have an opportunity to make a shit ton of money doing fuck all nothing. And they're going to treat regular Americans like shit like that, man. I would say boycott them, but we don't have a choice. Pacific Northwest, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm Greek. I'm mostly Greek and Irish, but I'm also Italian, French, Scottish, Norwegian, Dutch, German, Greek, and Irish. Yeah, I'm a white boy, dude. I guess I'm a white boy, dude. All right, fine. Honestly, color doesn't mean that much to me. Let me go back inside, dude. This highway is just absolutely aggravating as hell. Yeah, I think that, honestly, this seems like we're just under attack. Did y'all see Atlanta? I mean, start putting it together, right? So we have that, that bridge that was definitely deliberately steamrolled by that. Okay, hold on. Can you turn that TV down a little bit?
Yeah.
And how does that make me feel? How does what make who feel? Sorry, you got to be more specific. So first we had that bridge, what was the Washington, I forget the name of the bridge at this point, but it was a few months ago now, where that cargo ship just absolutely decimated that bridge, seemingly on purpose. I don't know. Was it on purpose? Was it an accident? I don't know. Just seems to me like it would be kind of difficult to accidentally hit a skyscraper, right? Because that bridge was basically like a skyscraper. But then, we've had other similar things like that, the Washington Bridge, whatever it was. But look at what's going on in Atlanta right now with that huge chemical fire that's just blowing chlorine gas in the wind in random directions. And like, even they're telling us here in the upstate of South Carolina to stay indoors and turn your air conditioning off, because it could just, you know how the wind blows, right? So we got that going on. And then, the way that these hurricanes are now seeming to form and strengthen off of the Gulf of Mexico, and and then just lambaste all the foothills and even the mountains. That's crazy, man. Like, you remember, it used to be to where the hurricanes would start to form off of the west coast of Africa, and we'd see them coming weeks in advance. And now it's like they'll just form overnight in the Gulf of Mexico and then start hitting targets, right? It's like, it's not that big of a stretch to me to suggest that we may be under some sort of an attack, right? And if you look at the political powers, the people that are in power right now, yeah, absolutely. I'd much rather see Trump in the White House than those people. Don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not a big fan of Trump, but I think he's going to do a much better job than these evil communists or whatever they are. And I think that's pretty accurate. Joe Biden and his son basically caught red-handed with multi-billion-dollar deals with China. For them to operate as unregistered foreign agents, that carries the death penalty. That's treason, okay? If this was any sort of semblance of the republic that it should be, people like that would never be in power. But, unfortunately, we've got a situation where everything's ass backwards, run from the top down by like the monetary system, right? It all really starts with the monetary system. And because of the fact that we have basically demons running our monetary system, they are able to, from like a sort of trickle down effect, they're able to manipulate all of the various pinnacles and pyramids of power in this world, right? And these pinnacles and pyramids of power, they seem unrelated to the layman, right? So, you've got things that seem unrelated that are pyramids of power. For example, you've got the for-profit prison system. You've got the for-profit medical industry, or the for-profit disease industry is probably a better way to put it. You've got the police agencies that are run from the top down and carry out orders. You've got the militaries. You have all of these top-down sort of corporate structured pyramids of power where dictates are passed down through the ranks, up from, starting at the pinnacle of the pyramid where the money is concentrated the most, down through the pyramid to the wider base, that has your plebs and your everyday normal people at the bottom that are basically feeding these pyramid systems, right? And it could be anything from a corporation to the military, right? But the thing is when the monetary system is literally run by demons, then all of these different pyramid power structures are infiltrated and taken over by minions of these spiritual wickedness in high places, right? And so because we have that sort of a situation going on, and we're all sort of addicted to money as well, like the end user, and we all sort of perceive that this money has value. That's what gives it its value, right? Is our faith in the currency is the only reason that it has value. But the thing is because of the Federal Reserve Act and the way that everything's set up, we are all paying a hidden tax that isn't on any books, but it is directly siphoning wealth from you and me, from us, up to the richest entities and corporations and shareholders in the world. And that hidden tax is called inflation, okay? Inflation is not some natural, unexpected consequence of large economies. Inflation is a deliberate scam to basically siphon our wealth away from us and put it in the pockets of the shareholders of the Federal Reserve Bank, which, by the way, the Federal Reserve Bank is not federal. It holds no reserves, and it isn't really a bank, okay? To issue our currency and regulate the value thereof of our currency is supposed to be strictly Congress's responsibility, okay? But because of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which came on the heels of the Titanic disaster, which eliminated key financial players of the time, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law in like 1913. over the winter holiday break in the middle of a night on a secret week-long meeting on Jekyll Island in Georgia. So if you've never read The Creature from Jekyll Island, I do have an audio book of the entire thing on my channel here. And Precise Audio Blog has done an excellent job of basically pinpointing every jot and tittle, every important part of that audio book. He's cataloged it in the comments, man. And it's so big shout out and thanks to Precise Audio Blog, man. That was very, very cool. But so definitely, if you're not familiar with playlists on YouTube, just go to my channel, TheMorgile, click on the playlist tab, and then I got a whole bunch of playlists. But The Creature from Jekyll Island is one of those. If you do Google search or YouTube search for my content, you probably won't find it. You've got to go to my channel and find what you want. You can actually search my channel too, but my channel is blackballed as hell. So anyway, so I do appreciate the fact that so many of you guys has found it. It's Luciferian, Draconian, a lot of casualties, Jordette. Yeah, indeed. Ponzi scheme, and what's worse is the money is fictitious. Right. I mean, the money is indeed fictitious, you know. So the thing is like, so currency is necessary, right? You have to have currency. I don't think that money is the root of all evil per se, but greed sort of is, right? But yeah, in order for a complex, large society to work, you got to have currency, right? I mean, let's just say that I raise chickens and you raise goats, okay? And I want to trade you, I want one of your goats and you need some chickens, right? But let's say that that one of your goats is worth 5.5 chickens. Well, we could either do 11 chickens for 2 goats, or like, what do I got to do? Cut one of my chickens in half. So you have to have placeholders for trade, and that's what currency is. You have to have currency, and you know, societies have used everything from like sand dollars to grains of rice to certain kinds of pebbles. Like, you can use anything for currency. But it is sort of a necessary evil, and that there is nothing inherently evil about currency or wealth at all, I don't think. But the problem that we have here is the fact that it's a fiat currency. The US dollar is not tied to anything except for, perhaps you could argue, the petroleum supplies of the world or petroleum futures of the world. And basically, so like, instead of tying our dollars to gold, which gold basically never goes away. Like, as long as you take care of gold, gold will be there indefinitely. Whereas petroleum is inherently something that is depleted, right? So to tie our currency to petroleum is not the same thing as tying your currency to gold, right? It's completely different. But a fiat currency just means that it's not backed by anything. There is no tangible fungible value of that currency. It is just a worthless piece of paper. But the thing is, you know, it is the only acceptable form of tender for public and private debts. And in fact, there are laws, you know, against people using other currencies. That's why, you know, honestly, the whole Bitcoin thing, well, I know there's a lot of really nice and great people that are very much into Bitcoin. Personally, I think it's yet another iteration of the same Federal Reserve scam, or the same people are behind it, I think. Because frankly, you know, if it was some sort of an outsider that introduced Bitcoin, because by the way, it's still anonymous, like, it's a mystery. We don't know who invented Bitcoin, right? But well, my point is if it was somebody that wasn't connected to this system, that wasn't part of the beast system, they would have never allowed it to get as far as it did, I don't think, because I mean, there's laws against it. The Secret Service, you know, they're the ones that protect the president. They were actually originally set up to protect from counterfeit. That was the original iteration of the Secret Service, was to protect from people doing counterfeit. But so there's laws, there's enforcement arms, there's laws with teeth preventing people from circumventing the US dollar, right? And that's exactly what happened with Bitcoin. And so from where I'm sitting, you know, definitely, you know, if you're successfully investing in Bitcoin, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or what not to do. I'm just saying, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's the very same people that are behind Bitcoin and the other main cryptos that were behind the Federal Reserve. Like it's unthinkable that it isn't, to me, in my opinion. Can I back that up with any sort of evidence or proof? I could probably make a case for it. But really dealing with my gut instinct and what I know about this world and what I know about the beast system and how they protect their interests and protect their scams and protect their monopolies. It's just unthinkable to me that they would somehow, that Bitcoin would somehow be completely separate and insulated from the Federal Reserve scam. And it is, it's a scam. And it must be nice. I'll tell you, it must be nice for these banks because see, what they get to do is they get to loan you and me money that they don't have, money that doesn't even exist. They get to invent it right out of thin air and loan it to you and charge you interest on that loan. So it's basically slavery. Now, where they got so many of us with the scam is, see, most people think that the money comes from somewhere or that it has some inherent value. But no, it's literally them just writing checks that are tied to an account that just has an unlimited amount of, dollars that they can invent, okay? But the thing is about currency, the more dollars that you invent and the more dollars that you put into the system, the less and less each dollar is worth. And the price of goods goes up, right? We've all seen it. Inflation, it's on the verge of hyperinflation, I would suggest. So it probably isn't a bad idea to invest in a bunch of cryptos at this point, because the one thing that's certain about fiat currencies like the US dollar is all fiat currencies in history have all failed. It's just a matter of time. Frank Noble says, a lot of people still think Jews have to pay interest on loans like everyone else has to. I mean, I don't know. My wife is half Jewish. I mean, she's not like Jewish by faith, but she's by blood half Jewish. She was raised Baptist, but she's gotten payday loans and stuff before, and she's always paid interest. I mean, but she's not like a card-carrying Jew or anything, whatever that means. So I don't know, maybe you're right. I just know that there's definitely not something in your blood that prevents you from having to pay interest or taxes or anything like that. Now, are there certain people that have, benefits because of racism? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. The Shawnee B says the real wealthy people don't use money. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I kind of think you have to use money for certain things, but again, I don't think that the money isn't the evil part. It's the fact that basically the devil and a bunch of demons are the ones that are sitting over top of the monetary system, right? And every dollar that you ever earn gets taxed, and every dollar that you ever spend is taxed. And that money doesn't go to like building bridges or like healthcare. I mean, I guess a portion of it goes to unemployment insurance and things like that. But all of those taxes, it goes to pay the interest on the loans that the government is borrowing from the Federal Reserve. So like the Federal Reserve is doing to the government what the branch FDIC member banks are doing to you and me by it's called fractional reserve banking. They invent money out of thin air at the branch level by a different method, but the Federal Reserve Bank, the non-federal, non-reserve, non-bank, is loaning money to the federal government at interest, and our tax dollars barely covers the interest payment. Like we owe these crazy motherfuckers money for like decades and decades, billions, untold trillions of dollars. That's what they say that we owe them. And they are, they're getting filthy, stinking rich off of you and me, while we have to pay taxes on every dime that we earn and spend. I mean, think about it this way. So like, okay, I take my dollar and I go into the store and I buy something that's 93 cents plus tax. So that dollar that I just spent is now down to 93 cents. 7 cents goes to the government. So now that person that I just made that purchase to goes and takes their 93 cent and buys something that's, 85 cents plus tax. You can see where this money goes, right? So every time you're spending money, it gets a little bit, but it's not going to the government, right? It goes to pay back loans to this private bank whose shareholders are anonymous, right? So for all we know, the people that are running the show at the Federal Reserve, and I'm not talking about the chairperson, I'm talking about the anonymous shareholders. For all we know, it could be enemy foreign powers. And I'm willing to bet that that's the case, right? Because why would any regular American anonymous shareholders want to scam America, right? So yeah, if we don't do something to change this shit, we're so fucked, man. And then, look at all the money that's getting sent overseas to these never-ending wars in the Middle East, seemingly never-ending wars in Russia, Ukraine, proxy wars all over the place. We're just sending money to Israel by the truckloads, sending money to Iran, by the palletfuls, sending money over there, billions and billions of dollars to, I just said it, the ones fighting Russia, Ukrainians, whatever. I need them to send me some of those billions of dollars, for real. Like, where's the support for Americans? So let me tell you about that. And I've kind of mentioned it a couple times. So because we're displaced from our home and we have emergency medical needs, we qualify for FEMA money. We all pay into this, right? Every dollar you spend and every dollar you earn, a portion of that dollar goes to pay into these systems. I can't get a direct deposit from them because they won't send it to Cash App, even though it's a legitimate account and routing number. Same thing with Chime, same thing with GoToBank. And I have those three kind of cards. My PayPal account doesn't have an account and routing number. So FEMA will not direct deposit any of this money to me when it could be sent in an instant. Do you know how easy it is for illegal immigrants to get like over $1,000 a month and a free hotel just because they're illegal immigrants? This is crazy, dude. This is crazy. There should be safety nets, and not just for disasters, really. We live in supposedly the wealthiest country on earth in history. I don't believe that. I don't buy into the American exceptionalism nonsense anymore. I did for a long time, and I pledge allegiance to the flag every day for 20 years or whatever, 15 years or whatever it is. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just crazy. Everything's by design. I think so. Barter system is the way. Well, Rune Dragon, I agree. But again, I still think that you do need some form of currency sometimes for placeholders, because, sometimes there's things that you just can't cut in half, right? So like, what if I want to trade you, I don't know, half of my house for half of your cow? You know what I mean? No, dude, you have to set a value to the currencies so that you can make trade easier. Really, that's all currency is supposed to be, is an aid for bartering and trading. That's it. It's not supposed to be a vehicle for demons to get rich off of our blood, sweat, and tears. And that's what it is. That's what the monetary system is. And you can call them demons. You can call them archons. But it's these Illuminati assholes that are sitting on the tops of these pyramidal power structures. And by the way, I mentioned earlier that these pyramidal power structures appear to be separate on the surface, but if you actually study the very pinnacles of these pyramids, it's interlocking, like they're all connected. It's not like they're all, it's all one entity. I mean, just look at the media outlets, right? I mean, it used to be there were dozens and dozens of different newspaper publishers and TV stations and, movie production companies. Now it's like 5 companies. There are like 4 now. I think maybe it's even 4. But everything is consolidated into these conglomerate corporate entities that have the same rights as people, but you can't put them in jail when they like murder people and ruin, destroy the environment or whatever. I don't know where I'm going. Y'all, I am so exhausted, tired. My nerves are shot, broke, busted, don't have a car. Luckily, we're okay. I've got the dog. Mina's okay. We've got all our equipment here. We do have power. We have the room for tonight. Thanks again to Daryl. I've had one sandwich in 3 days. I think I have a little bit of money to go get something to eat. So I'm going to go try to get something to eat by foot. I'm not going to eat my foot. I'm going to go walk and try to get something to eat. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I've got some more Flat Earth and other hot potatoes content coming. So just be on the lookout for that. Things are kind of messed up right now, as you know. So hopefully we'll have some good news for you soon. One love, you guys. Appreciate you hanging with me, and I will see y'all very soon. Stay safe. Yazir Adnan, what's up? But I don't know, how do you change something that almost 99% of people readily accepting it? Even if you try to start it on a micro level in communities, yeah. Well, no, you're right. See, that's the thing, Yazir Adnan. That's the thing, man. It's not like you and me can decide to stop using the dollar, right? We've all got to do it. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that that's going to be very painful for, right? The dollar's going to go bust one way or another, so you really do want to get out of the dollar either way. But I honestly, I think that this financial system has to collapse in order for us to start something new. But the thing is I don't think that we should necessarily want to pick up the pieces and put it all in things like Bitcoin, especially if it turns out that Bitcoin is meet the new boss, same as the old boss type of situation, which I have a sneaking suspicion that that's exactly what it is. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just some stupid flat earther. All right, you guys, cash is king. Yes, indeed it is. If y'all want to support, links are below, but Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and Patreon, TheMorgile on all of those. Links are below. If you want to reach out to me, send me a text first. It's 864-315-7892. All right, thanks, you guys. One love, and I will see you very soon with new content. Y'all be safe. Bye.